This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, what's happening, man? I just talking prior to the show, man, and kind of wanted to talk with you a little bit about you're injured. You injured yourself.
I did. I didn't know you were going to jump right into this.
Well, I don't have really anything going on with me because I've been injured myself for the past month.
Yeah, well, our podcast is lame right now. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's a good thing that it's PBA season because otherwise this podcast would be struggling for things to talk about. Because
so let me talk about my injury.
I'm injured. We're both getting up there in age. Yeah, man. I'll be honest with all of you. I got much love for our little community here, but I'm not getting too deep into this. I just can't. I don't have the mental space to go on and on about it. But yeah, I fractured my leg. I fractured my leg in a sledding related winter weather accident. Your boy took a spill and yeah, it didn't go my way, and unfortunately, I fractured my leg, and I'm dealing with a lot right now. I am, but I'm here. I'm here because, quite frankly, this is one of the only regular things in my routine that I'm able to do at this point. So, yeah, I'm out of league bowling. Probably. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm probably out for the rest of the half. It's going to be 4 to 6 weeks before my leg gets better. And, even after that, what are the chances that after 6 weeks, I'm going to jump right back in, full throttle bowling on sport stuff when I haven't picked up a ball in that long. So, with that said, if that's the way I go out for this year, so be it. I bowled really good this year. I probably had my best season of sport bowling this year. I'm actually proud of myself for that. And I want to give a shout to my teammates, Zach and Ben, because they gotta hold me up with subs and stuff for the rest of the year, and that's not going to be easy. But I'll be honest with you, the bowling league is the least of my issues, is the least of my problems right now. So yeah, that's the story with your boy. I'm in a little bit of a bad shape right now. For those of you that know me personally, feel free to send some positivity my way. I could definitely use it. But yeah, listen, like I said to you, Rob, before we came on the air, is it all right if I say the same thing that I said to you before we came on?
Absolutely.
You've put it out there. We did an episode on it. You dealt with testicular cancer when we were younger. I mean, that's this is something I'll get over in 4 to 6 weeks. I'm more stressed out about the job related stuff that I have to keep up with that, and just stress that I'm putting on my family and my wife, picking up extra duty with me not being able to do much. And I'm hoping right now it's my right foot too, so driving is like really hard, and I'm hoping that within a couple weeks I'll feel better to the point where I feel like I can safely drive. Right now, I can, but definitely like with limits, I would say. So yeah, man, that's it. But I'm here. I'm here to talk PBA bowling with the people because these are the things that I enjoy that keep me going, keep me sane. So that's it.
Yeah, I hear you, Mike. Well, we wish you a fast, speedy, full recovery. I never had to deal with a fracture or a broken bone, fortunately. Obviously, what you brought up, I've had to deal with other shit, including cancer and a fucking back, which right now feels 10 times worse than the 5 months of cancer I dealt with when I was 23, because I feel like the back, at least there was a road to recovery, a full recovery when it came to me and my cancer. The back, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a full recovery with it, because I have brought it up, and it is a literal 54-degree curve in my lower spine for my scoliosis, and it's just causing all kinds of havoc on my back. But it's not bad enough to do surgery, and I don't want to do surgery. So I'm feeling a ton better this week. I did injections 2 weeks ago, which was kind of a weird deal, I guess, because I thought it was just going to be one doctor sticking a needle in your back, and it's really not. It's like this 3-doctor procedure where they're using like x-rays to put the needles in and stuff. And it was just like kind of weird thing. And the procedure after the whole night gave me severe anxiety, which is a side effect. So that whole night was a shit show for me. I was like literally had 125 to 130 resting heart rate like all night, couldn't sleep. Felt like I was literally drinking massive amounts of cups of coffee at like 10 p.m. So anyway, yeah, 2 old people dealing with injuries, Mike.
I was going to say, did we just make a new segment? Did we just create a new segment on this show, like old people injury segment? It's not League Report anymore. It's old people injury segment.
I know someone we can get on too.
I know. Yeah, no doubt. Shout to our boy. You know,
text Bill, by the way. Yeah, I talked to him today.
Okay.
He is not bowling the U.S. Open.
I knew this.
So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say anything, whatever. I didn't say not to. Yeah, he's out next week, and he probably will be back the following week. So here's the problem with the way the schedule is for these pros, is if you have an injury like Bill does, there isn't any like gap in time to get better. So you know how long you're bowling this schedule with no breaks to bowl the U.S. Open and make the cut and then bowl match play. You possibly could be bowling 50 to 60 games, and it could make your injury worse. It could make it's not going to heal up, and then essentially you're bowling the whole PBA 2026 season at 60%. But in Bill's case, he said that if he takes a few weeks off, he'll be back to like probably he didn't give me a percentage, but I'd imagine it's probably going to be a 90%. I think it's a smart move for him. I'd rather bowl 75% of the PBA season at 90% health than bowl 100% of the PBA season at 60% health. So we're all 3 of us getting to that age now where it makes you really appreciate guys like Norm, Duke, and Walter, who did it so long at a high level into their 50s. Chris Barnes, who's still bowling the young guy stuff, makes you really appreciate what these guys and how many games they can bowl right now in 50 plus, because you start seeing it as in your 40s where the littlest thing could set your whole physical health into a terrible trajectory.
All right, enough negativity from us.
No, there's gonna be more negativity. Don't worry.
I'm not making this a regular segment. I'm sorry. I'm not.
I'm still gonna talk about the show, Mike.
If you open up every week by asking me about my leg or something, I'm gonna bail out on this podcast. I'm just letting you know. So You're gonna have to get over talking about your back and your ailments and all this in the opening of the podcast. Don't worry, folks. I will come up with a new opening for around here. Even if we don't have League Report, you know what I might do? I might bring my teammate Ben on and have him do League Report. Ben, if you're out there, if you're listening to this, hit me up, bro. Come on, do League Report.
We got to bring on Mr. X to do a League Report.
Oh, no. That ain't happening. No. That's not happening. Sorry.
Okay, I promise I won't bring it up. But one last thing on this is I do plan on bowling in the next few weeks, and just even bowling one game. I do want to start bowling again. My goal is to still bowl the TAT in July. I really would like to go bowl the tournament, but I do want to do it at 100% health. I don't want to go there and half-assed it.
Okay.
So that is the goal, to start bowling again. I might have to wear some kind of lower back support while I bowl, and I might have to look into some different mechanisms. I'll talk to my physical therapist about it and see maybe if there's something they would recommend that would give me enough support and flexibility to still be able to bowl. Yeah, the bowling, I do miss it. I do want to start bowling again, and I definitely have some goals and I set for myself, but no crazy goals, Mike. There's no like bowling becoming exempt on the PBA tour. At this point, it's like bowling 3 games without like ended up in a stretcher and then girding me out of the bowling center, you know?
All right, so enough. We're moving on. There was a PBA tournament this week, Rob.
There was.
A PBA title was awarded a couple hours ago.
Yes.
And Grandpa took that down, as everybody tuning into this podcast knows. And yeah, as you know, if you're not new around here, you know that we have our own way that we like to run down the PBA tournaments here, our own little system, our way of doing things. And that's our focus right now. You know, our focus is on the PBA and this professional bowling action. And not only are we going to wrap up the Pete Weber, what was it? The Legends Casino Pete Weber Missouri Open, right? Is that what it was?
Something, but I didn't even hear them bring up anything about Legends on the show, right?
I didn't really hear it either, no. So yeah, we're gonna give our rundown here. So we will start by running the ladder, okay, which means that we're gonna review all the matches in the show from the first one to the last one. But Rob, before we do that, I'm gonna ask, as I did last week, and I'm probably gonna ask this almost every week. What do you want to review first? Do you want to review the show itself or the step ladder? I say let's talk about the show.
Agreed. I want to talk about the show.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Doom and gloom. Here we go. Negativity, everybody.
Oh man.
No. Okay. Let me say this first. The pros themselves and just the competition didn't do the announcers any favors today, okay? The show was not competitive. The matches were not competitive. Maybe the final match, there was some maybe glimpses of it turning into a competitive match. But the way Graham was bowling, it was lights out, right? It never got there. So 2 aspects of this, what made this show really, really bad, in my opinion, was the matches weren't close and the players weren't really energetic, emotional, considering you're naming it after one of the most emotional, energetic, outspoken players in the history of the Professional Bowling Association. And the players just felt like they were going through the motions. I felt like that they weren't going to do the announcers any favors. It would be really hard or practically impossible for the announcers to make it into an exciting show or show any kind of energy when the match is by the 5th or 6th frame, 30 to 50 pin difference on the scores.
Snooze fest. What do you want me to say? Snooze, same as the old product, but not as good. I'll say what I said last week.
But I mean, do I have a point here? Like the players have to also help out too, right? Like you can't. I mean, you even talked about the announcers. You don't think the announcers are a big part of the show, right?
I don't. I just that's not what tips the scales for me.
Right. So Snooze Fest then, besides the announcers, I mean, is kind of what I said, right? Just not competitive and no emotions.
Well, see, and we get off on a little tangent here, but this is one of the reasons. Like you brought up the idea of some of these matches being boring. They were out. It was over. I get it. Yes, you're right. That speaks to the point that I've been making leading up to this change. And shout to I don't have the guy's name. I should go on Twitter and get it, or X and get it. But shout to the guy who put out like a 5-minute video to me and you this week. Yes. Responding to our thoughts. And we got into a conversation on X about that. And, one of the things that I talked about over the last few weeks is how I wanted to see something different. I wanted to see the PBA and CW use this opportunity to try and present bowling in a different way, right? And that can mean a lot of things. And when you here in this situation, the show this week, it presents the opportunity to talk about just what you brought up, right? And the fact that it creates a boring show when the matches are out, right? And the players aren't providing a lot of entertainment, and the matches aren't providing a lot of entertainment. So, again, to speak to that idea of doing something different, like, why not try and have a show where there's more than one match at a time? So that if one match is out, maybe the other match is good. Or if one match isn't providing excitement, maybe another match is.
No, see, I think that's any sport. This is not just a bowling issue. Could happen in any sport. How many times have you watched a Monday Night Football game that the football team was up 30 by third quarter, right? How many times have you watched a baseball game where it was 10-0 in the fifth inning? And sometimes in sports you're just stuck with that.
Yeah, but to speak to that, that's part of the reason why these networks that are paying billions of dollars for these professional sports contracts wanted clauses in them, like being able to select the games they want later in the year as opposed to before the start of the season, right? Because they know that if it's a snooze fest, even if it's the NFL, people are going to turn it off. People aren't going to watch it, right?
But even when they switch those games, they have a possibility of a blowout too, right? So yeah, they try to flex and they try to do all these things and try to change the schedules, but ultimately they're still kind of stuck with the competition and what the players put out on the field, right? Now, here's my thought though. How many times have you seen a blowout, but the team that's losing all of a sudden starts getting a little scrappy, right? And they start fouling flagrants and they flagrant fouls, or they start doing roughing passer penalties, and it's starting to get a little chippy, they call it, right? And a little nasty. To me, people might tune in for that, right? And I'm going to give you a great example of one during the match when we get to it, of where there was a chance for some chippiness. And it's just not in these players. It's not in their genetics like it was Pete Weber.
You're referring to Justin Knowles in his match against Fa, right? Kind of saying, "Oh, I'm still here." The problem was, no disrespect to Justin Knowles, a great player, but he was wrong.
No,
I mean, it was too late.
No, but this is where there was an opportunity for Graham Fa to give it back to Knowles.
Right.
And he tripped that 6-pin right after Knowles was a little bit, hey, I'm still here. If that was me, and I'm just using me as an example here, if that was me and I tripped a 4-pin after somebody was doing a little of this, you would bet your ass that I would have gave him that business right there and there. Being up 30 or whatever, Fa being lined in and then going back and tripping a 6-pin and then really giving him, like, even if it was just hey, I would have even used the Pete Weber quote. Like, you want it, you got it, or something, just as a homage to Pete Weber, right? I think that would have been an amazing thing to do, and then we could have been like, oh, there's some little excitement, hey.
Right.
But it's not in Fa, it's not in him. He's a professional. The guy, he was so locked in that you couldn't even didn't matter. The chirping, he just was like, whatever, I don't care, I'm winning this tournament.
Yeah, the intros are just, they need to go, man. Please, if they make any one change,
alter ego.
If somebody from the PBA is listening to this, please get rid of these self-player intros. Please.
What was that? What did Fa say in that final? I almost fell off the couch. It was like, I wanted to bowl better, so I'm going to, or something. It was so bad. I cringed. And that's exactly what I posted, that Facebook post on our page. I said that was like the most awkward, that was just cringe. I just couldn't. I wanted to hide somewhere. It's just terrible. The player intros got to go. They got to go. But anyway, so let me talk about the first match. Let's talk. Okay, so overall, it just wasn't a good show. It didn't have Brandon Bonta saving them with a 300, I think, in the final match.
Man, if if that last week's match didn't go the way it did, we'd be off to a really poor start.
But everybody, there's so many mixed reviews online on social media. I see a lot of people that are in the corner of give them a chance, let them figure it out, let the CW figure it out, let the announcers figure it out. And then there's other people in the corners that are like, bring back Randy, bring back Kimberly, bring back the old TV crew, which is not happening at this point, right? So that's a mute point to say bring back Randy and bring back Kimberly. That's not happening. And then you have the other people that are kind of like, okay, this is not good. And then you have everybody that's saying, well, it's not good. Well, how do you fix it? And I mean, I think we got called, morons and clowns and all kinds of stuff because I posted a reel and people want us to, solve the PBA's problems in a minute and a half reel. And they get angry when we don't because I post a reel and people don't want to come back and actually watch the whole show. So what corner are you in, Mike? Are you in, Mike, like the PBA's in trouble right now? Is this like, are we?
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. No, I think that as long as the PBA has the support of Bolero, I think they're okay. To me, I mean that would be my take on that. So no, I definitely don't look at it that way. But at the same time, the PBA is not doing itself any favors by running out a similar yet more lackluster product with this new network, especially with this with the documentary coming out, right? We didn't touch on that. We can throw that conversation in there if we want. Like we're hearing HBO, right? Yeah, it's premiering in a couple weeks, right? It's going to like in like 2 weeks, it's going to premiere, and yeah, I mean that should be awesome, right? And I want to stand behind that and support that, and definitely get word out about that. And I think anybody who listens to this podcast should be telling anybody they know, but particularly people in the bowling community about that documentary because it needs our support. But yeah, I think you have an idea like that, okay? And I while I'm not going to say that the PBA is in deep trouble, I definitely think that there's a little bit of a waste of an opportunity there, right? You have this documentary coming out. You still have Bolero's support. You have a new TV network you're working with, and what are we doing with it? What are we doing with it? To me, it doesn't seem like they're doing very much with it. But
yeah, I don't think the crowds help either, Mike. I'll be honest with you. I think the crowds themselves are just treating it. Sometimes I feel like it gets treated like we were still in those like 1980s TV shows. And I feel like the whole broadcast, you can't fake energy and you can't fake noise either. So I think it's just on the PBA to try to get a younger demographic out to these TV shows for the crowds themselves. And I'm not saying that the older crowd shouldn't be allowed to go, but
your people are gonna love you for that one.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the darts here for a sec. Someone sent me a video, another non-bowler friend of mine sent me a video of someone took a video of a darts when they were in the crowd of a darts competition. And the craziness that is ensuing in those crowds is like night and day difference than what the PBA crowd is, what's going on there. It is a completely different atmosphere from looking at a dart crowd venue to a professional bowling venue. And it shows on the dart, like when you watch darts, it shows like it is excitement and it is yelling and it is chanting, and it makes a sport like darts, which in my opinion, is boring to watch in a sense, comparatively to bowling, right? It's not that different when it comes to like the entertainment value of the actual sport, right? But the whole two shows are completely two different vibes, right? And obviously there's a setup difference with bowling because of the lanes, and it's just the way they put the crowds, and they still have a digital board behind the crowds. And I feel like when we were talking about making changes, I felt like we were asking for changes to the way the venue was set up and the way the audience looks, where they're placing them, uh, and just something that would be different and maybe bring some energy into those shows. I think that the shows are lacking energy. There isn't just excitement. It's just too boring. It's just I don't know. But yeah, the pros aren't doing any favors here. The competition has nothing to. No one has control over the competition. It just happened to be where we had matches today that just didn't come down to the 10th. It just wasn't close. There wasn't really any drama. It just fell flat, and it's sad because after coming off of last week's show and that 300 in the regional, I kind of feel like there was probably some momentum, and it just kind of fell short.
No doubt. All right, somebody wanted us to answer this specific question. Let's take a look. I did think it was a good comment.
Great comment.
John in the chat says, "Do you have any insight on why the PBA doesn't have anything named after Walter Ray Williams Jr.? I find it really odd that the winningest player in the sport isn't really celebrated or mentioned as often."
I know why.
I think the better. John, I love your question. Don't get me wrong, but I think the better question is, why out of all people you could choose, why does Pete get a tournament named after him?
I know why.
Well, of course you do. Go ahead.
I'll give you one phrase, which they said it 100 times on the show today. 100 times on the show. If the PBA is trying to appeal to a demographic or a certain demographic, and you ask anybody that is a non-bowler out there what they know about bowling, most of the people won't talk about Belmo's 15 majors. They won't talk about all the numbers they talked about on the show today, the 199. All they talk about is who do you think you are? I am real, or video cut of that US Open. And it's, I think, the way for the PBA to try to market to those people who, they think, oh, Pete Weber Open, Pete's going to be there. And they're trying to bring in more views with it, because they could have named a lot of tournaments. I mean, after a lot of the greatest pros that they used to have, the Johnny Petragula Open, they don't have that anymore. Mark, they have the Holman Roth doubles, right? So they did that. So yeah, I mean, look, Pete didn't have the most titles. He didn't have the most majors, but Pete, outside of the lanes, character, charisma, outgoing, when it came to that like aspect of it, Pete was the GOAT. There was nobody better than that. And the PBA probably decided that they needed to try to make a tournament after that. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, I don't really have too much more to say on it. I agree. I think they're trying to draw eyes to the tournament, right? So who do you name it after? You name it after the bowler who drew eyes to the sport more than anybody, right? And while the commenter is correct that Walter Ray is the winningest player ever, he probably does. He does not get the shine that he should get, right? Because Pete overshadowed him in terms of general popularity, right? And obviously the who do you think you are? I am. Every year that comes up as like a huge thing. One of the
three
most
times a year
crazy moments in sports history, period, right? So yeah, I hear you. I think the commenter makes a great point, but yeah, the PBA is not out here like they're not naming the tournament after the person in my opinion, to honor them. They're doing it to draw eyes to it. So that's why you name it after Pete.
I don't know if I'm CB Princess 900 writes, Walter Ray had the RPI trophy named after him, and he told him he didn't want that anymore, so they changed it to Chris Warren's name. Yeah, Walter doesn't seem like the guy who would want a tournament named after him. I don't think he really wasn't ever really after the attention like Pete was. Walter was after titles and was after winning. I'm not saying Pete wasn't, but Pete had that rare just factor where he could entertain and win, right? And not a lot of people till this day, even on the sport today, have that like rare ability to do that.
I think a lot of people loved Walter Ray too. I think a lot of people loved Walter Ray. I just don't, obviously, like he wasn't bringing the same level as entertainment value as some of the other players, other greats of his time.
I mean, when you're on the show as much as he was, you go to any PBA tournament when Walter was in his prime, or even like later years, and there was always a crowd behind Walter. And then the average age was probably like in the 70s, but I mean, I'm really getting on the old people today on the show. I'm gonna get emails all over. I mean, they were, but he's always had a crowd behind him because the guy, you have to respect the guy's ability. The guy was the most accurate bowler of all time, in my opinion. And the guy also was a national horseshoe pitching champion. I mean, we've interviewed the guy. He's just a really, really great like bowler, and you can't take that away from him. But Pete was definitely the most what would you call it? Had that factor that just could entertain and bowl. So all right, Mike.
So that was a great comment in the chat. I saw some people in the chat commenting gambling. Tell us what your best bets were throughout the week, folks. Let's hear some winners. Let's hear some bets. Let's hear some bad beats in the chat. Can we get some bad beats in the chat? Gambling bad beats? I'd love to hear that.
Everything I've been turning.
Did you have any action this week, Rob? Or
today I had some action. Everything I touched turned to shit today. Okay. I bet 2 matches. As soon as I put money on the person, the other guy to be like the front 7. It was just like, what am I doing right now? Okay. But I had Russo to beat Larson. And I had all the over and unders right. I should just stay with the over and unders because I seem to know exactly what the scores are going to look like. And then the next match, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take Larson because I thought the right looked good and the left started to look funky. And then Fa goes, and I should really just have, when it comes to betting and Fa's on the show, there's really only 2 words that I should bet, and it should be just Fa on the over because we've made so much money betting Fa on the over when he's on TV, and I'm stupid because I should have just rolled that. But I think I'm done. I had some big profit boosts that I was using, and it made it a ton worth my while to get some money in. But I think I'm going to take a break because I'm seem to be running terribly bad right now.
Scott from the chat reached out to me with a question about taking Dom Barrett over EJ Tackett in the first round of match play, I think. He wanted to know what my thoughts on that was. And I said, that sounds like the kind of bet to me where after you lose, you say to yourself, what was I doing betting against EJ Tackett? So
I always bet the plus odds.
My advice there, but
no, I think that was me. It was he messaged the account, and I was just like, I just bet the plus odds when a 1-on-1.
Right.
Like that mean I do.
We have somebody in the chat who bet Fa last night to win the tourney at plus 200. That's nice. I wasn't really checking it out. I didn't see that. Another person in the chat, Hillman, welcome, says Thomas Larson plus 25,000. Wow. That would have been a nice one to hit. 2 bets of $5, cashed out after the win for 340. All right, good for you, bro.
Cashed out.
Good for you.
Smart play right there.
So $5 to win 340. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's smart amazing. Cash out too.
That's amazing.
I would have been able to cash out on that after I thought how good Larson looked in that match. So let's talk about that.
The spatula, Belanda. What's up, Steve? How's it going? He said 3-0 in his article for RotoWire. Fa to win plus 200. Russo over Stipic. Russo Stipic under 445. Like all those.
The under was my bet of the week, though, in the first match. New Stipic on the show, first time, and Russo in front of a home crowd, his first match. Feel like there was going to be a lot of nerves.
Wow, Hillman had a good week. He hit that Thomas Larson bet, and then he went 7 out of 8 in match play betting the favorites. Okay.
Hillman, reach out to me, man. Give me some of your picks, dude.
Hillman, hit us up, bro. Give us an email, please.
I'm running cold, man.
We're frozen over here. Jesus.
All right, Mike. Anything good on the show?
Well, not really. Not really. Let's run the ladder. Let's run the ladder and try and pick out some nuggets, maybe.
Okay. Let's do it.
First match was Russo Stipic, and to me, Stipic just looked like he was nervous.
Yeah, man, it's hard. I've never done it. I've come close, not on a PBA show, but for college, I've come close to making a show, and who wouldn't be nervous on a first show? And it's understandable, and it doesn't help when your opponent just can't do anything wrong either. Russo looked like he couldn't do anything wrong that first match. And I feel like when you're bowling your first time on TV, you need your opponent to help you a little bit, to help you like open early or look lost. And then I think you're able to kind of relax. And Russo never gave him the chance to relax. I mean, he started out just looked great ball reaction. And he just couldn't come back after he missed that spare.
Yeah, it was it. That game was over, I would say, by the 7th frame. You kind of
probably even earlier than that.
Yeah, you kind of knew which way it was going to go.
Yeah.
So that was match 1. Okay. Second match that then brought us to
Russo Larson,
right? And Larson comes out using 2 different balls on the 2 different lanes, right?
Yep.
Was it 2 different patterns today?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so. It was two different balls on 2 different lanes.
45-foot Weber.
Yeah, and he was whacking them.
Yeah.
He was whacking them. And at the same time that he started whacking them, Russo kind of lost his look.
Yeah, he couldn't deal with the transition, made a bad ball change on the left lane. I think he went to that evoke or for the new one, I'm not sure, and just kind of lost the lane. He lost his look. And here Larson comes out, just real simple game. Love Larson's game. Honestly looks great throwing the ball right now. I watched a few of his matches, and just whatever changes he made. And I follow him on social media. He's really active on his social media. If you don't follow him, he talks a lot about what I would imagine he would talk about. His bowling, his changes, what he's drilled. Stuff that I probably would do if I was a pro on tour, trying to, make a little bit of social media for yourself and do that. So he's a good follow. But yeah, technician. It's good to see sometimes the one-handed technicians make the show instead of the two-handers, right? And I feel like this was one of those shows where if you're a one-handed bowler and you don't like two-handed and you don't like urethane, this is a good show for you guys because there's a lot of like moving and adjusting and a lot of stuff going on, especially when Larson started to bowl, and then when Larson bowled Fa, I think started to get a little bit into a lot of that. But yeah, Larson looked good, playing right, real simple game, just really like playing up 10, some surface. Russo lost his look on transition, and then yeah.
Okay, so that sets up Larson against Fa. And yeah, as you said, it seemed like the left was kind of deteriorating, and Larson had a really good look in that game against Russo, right? And yeah, obviously things switch, and Fa comes out and goes front 8, stone 9, 8,
yeah,
right?
something. Yeah, stone 9.
Stone 9.
So
front 7, stone 9, something like that.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to shoot 300.
I did too.
I thought we were going to go back-to-back weeks with a 300 on the show.
Interesting about Fa is I was noticing the transition for the lefties, right? And Fa's very good with urethane. He's very good with resin too. He could do it all, in my opinion. He could play right to left. He could play up the boards. Very
Best
versatile.
lefty on tour right now.
Best lefty on tour. There's no doubt in my mind. Bob decided instead of taking the bait and trying to circle resin, that he was going to go right up, move into it, and use urethane. And man, was that the right decision? I mean, he had a chance to go like 300, 250, or 260 his last two games. Really, he had that much of a great look. I think he made maybe one bad shot in the first shot of the second of the title match.
Right.
And then the 6-pin, I think he left sometime during the last game. But man, he just, decided that he was going to play on top of it with a urethane. And Larson just started to deal with his own transition, I think. And just started to lose the left lane.
Well, how many misses do you have when your opponent's going front seven, right?
I know. Yeah.
So he just he got run over. I mean, that's it. Sometimes it happens, right? So another sort of gasser of a match. Like the match was over before Fa really even left that 9, right? And Robert Hamilton is in the chat saying that the 1-3 was offset on that 9-pin. We should probably go back and take a look at that and see what's good.
Oh, here's a comment. Here's the comment. We talk about the final match.
Yeah, I like that comment. Listen, Skid Row Hook took the thought right from me. I'm not even going to lie.
I'll read it.
Right from me. Like they showed Knowles, right? They showed Knowles playing defense before the match started and taking a 500 grit ball or whatever and trying to torch up the front part of the lane. And do what you want. Implement whatever strategy you want, but listen, I'm a hack, okay? But that just doesn't seem like an effective way to win to me. Like in bowling, the most effective way to win is to concentrate on what you need to strike. Right? Not concentrate on what you can do to keep your opponent from striking, because these guys are professionals, right? These guys are really good, and like they know the adjustments. They're good at making micro adjustments. They're good at making major adjustments. So I don't know. I think that you're better served just trying to go out and figure out what you need to do to execute to put up a better score than the person you're bowling.
Okay, so I tend to agree with you mostly there. I think if it's somebody like who's been on TV, who has multiple titles, someone like an EJ Tackett or Belmo, a Kyle Troop, if they wanted to implement that strategy, I might give them the benefit of the doubt, because they're on TV a lot. They've won titles. They're experienced. They know the changes. Like they don't need to worry about themselves in a sense, because they have been there, done that. But since Knowles was bowling for his first title match, hasn't really had a ton of TV experience, right? He's been on TV a few times. Never really was, you saw the stats before the match between the two of Knowles and Fa. And I think at that point, you have to have blinders to what is going on around you. And you really have to focus on you, and how you're going to play both lanes were different. I saw there was someone in the chat that said that Robert Hamilton says that Kyle mentioned that there was some topography that could have been different, which is why they were using two different balls. I think that's great analysis. Probably a good one too. And you really need to focus on what you're doing, especially when your opponent has just came off a literal almost bowling 300. Yeah, and I think it was a wrong play. I think he needed to worry about more of his offense than worry about playing defense. And I think that's a great comment, Skid Hook roll. But my thing during the match is Knowles obviously was trying to get Fa out of his game when he kind of realized probably in the middle of the game that he didn't really have that great of a look. And I'm kind of surprised though, Mike. Let me ask you, were you surprised that Knowles didn't try to get with his own urethane and get where Fa was when he saw Fa's look? I'd be curious if
Yeah.
there was anybody in the crowd there that was watching. Did Knowles try to throw urethane? I might have, that idea might have come into my head seeing how good of a look Fa had.
No, I agree. I was surprised. Yeah, I thought, I think he had to have tried it. He had to have. Right? I mean, for as good as it looked with Fa, you'd think that he at least had to give it a shot and give it a few throws and see what he had with it. But nonetheless, Rob, Grand Fa title winner. Another
So
title
far,
for Fa.
so far in front runner for player of the year in 2 tournaments in.
Maybe, yeah, you might. You might say that.
Still really early.
Is there? So I want to go back a few weeks, and we talked about how there were changes being implemented to the way the PBA was going to be doing the lanes this year. To summarize, I guess I would say they're not using one dedicated lane person. Okay, they're using like a local person in that area that they're bowling for that week, and that's anonymous from what I understand in terms of like who's doing that or who's in charge of that. In terms of what they're bowling on, it's a committee from what I read. All right, making decisions about that. So after a couple events, right, the left is looking wide open for business, Rob. I mean, wide open for business. You have 2 weeks now out of 2 where the lefties really have it, and the urethane looks real good. And we see urethane used a lot, Rob, but we don't see urethane win a lot of titles. And urethane got the job done this week on the left. And I don't know. Here's my question: at what point are you going to start to hear the chirps and the chorus and before people start saying, "Oh, the lefties have it too good now." We talk about Yellow Magic is right. We sold all the lefties. We sold
Yellow Magic keeps bringing. He's brought it up. Yellow Magic has brought it up every show since we sold the lefties.
Well, he's right. We sold the stock and all the lefties.
We did, but we had a reason because
now it's looking like, man, they were the sweet buy with the way the lanes looked the first couple weeks. What are your thoughts here?
My thoughts are, first off, to Yellow Magic. If you go back and look at the history of the PBA in the last few years, the left has been not very good. Okay. I don't mind. Well, we say the lefties were wide open, but Mike, out of the top 24 bowlers last week, how many lefties were in the top 24? Do you know that number?
Not off the top of my head.
I do. The 3 that made the show.
Okay.
So to say the last week was wide open, I'm going to say no, because there's also a lot of lefties finishing really
I don't know
low.
about that, though, because you might be right about the top 24, but there were a lot of lefties in contention last week. I felt.
I'm pretty sure I have. If anybody wants to go and look at the top 24 row on this show, see
throughout the week checking the standings, I just remember seeing lefties popping in and out.
I'm pretty sure that when I was looking at the top 24 of last week, I'm pretty sure that the 3 lefties were the only ones that made the show. If anybody has the PBA stats, go through them and correct me if I'm wrong there. But I bet you it wasn't more than 4 total. I don't know about this top 24 on the top, or I believe I should say top 32 was in the bracket this week. So I do think you're always going to hear grumblings. First off, you're probably already going to hear grumblings with all the lefties that have made the shows in the last 2 weeks, right? Because that's what people see. People don't pay attention to a lot of what's going on. Like literally what's going on outside of the TV shows. So you're going to hear grumblings from fans and whatever, but do you think the pros themselves will start making grumblings? I mean, I don't know. I feel like the lefties haven't had a consistent year where they've been in contention every tournament. So they're also bowling in some new bowling centers that they've never bowled in. Robert Hamilton brought up lane topography. That could also be a big part of maybe their first two tournaments they were in. They just happen to be lefty friendly centers, and regardless of what conditions they put out, I think you're going to see a lot different what's going to be happening at the U.S. Open next week. No urethane, Mike, next week. Keep that in mind. I think the lefties are at a disadvantage immediately when there's no urethane. So it'd be interesting to see how many lefties make the top 24 this week of the U.S. Open when the PBA essentially is not doing the lane conditions and the USBC are doing the lane conditions, right? So it'll be definitely interesting to see.
Okay, so we run the ladder. That's that. Let's go to our categories.
Yeah,
Where do you
let's
wanna
put
go
this show
first?
behind us. Let's put this show behind us.
Please.
Let's go to spare shooter. This is a tough one, but I got a good one.
Go ahead.
So my spare shooter goes to Matt Russo. If anybody watched the game 7 when he bowled Knowles for the top spot yesterday, it was a match they were bowling. They were both on the show. It was a game 7. They were going for the 1 and 5 seed, which is a huge match.
Right. If you
And
won,
huge
you win 1 seed. If you lose, you're the 5 seed.
And
They
it's
were
a huge
both
financial.
guaranteed on the show.
Yes, but financially for titles on top of that, I mean, obviously you want the 1 seed. And Russo missed a single pin in the middle of that match. I think it was like a 7 pin. I think he missed it in like the 4th or 5th frame. That is a very, very bad miss in a very crucial match for the 1 seed. And even the announcers were just like, you can't miss a spare there. Like, that is like unexcusable. So my spare shooter award goes to Matt Russo. Hold on. My dog. I gotta fix my dog here.
I will give spare. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I get confused with the show sometimes. But did Thomas Larson miss a 2-8?
Yes.
That missed the 2-8 today?
Yeah, but that was kind of he did. He missed it to the right. Second frame.
I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah.
I don't care what the situation is. Can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah, I hate that award, by the way. I think we should. I think we were supposed to cancel it anyway, weren't we?
I like that award.
Yeah, I know you do, but it's hard to pull out. Like, okay,
they miss a lot of spares these days, Rob.
I know they do.
A lot of opportunities, you know.
Especially if you watched like the Bowl TV streams. I love now bowling's on because I work from home usually 2 days a week, Wednesday, Thursdays, and I have a TV right next to me. So I like put it on mute and it just streams all day. So I sit here and I'm working and I like look over and I'm like, there's a missed spare. Oh, there's someone else missed a spare. Hey, there's gonna be a lot of missed spares this week at the US Open. So I look forward to that. All right, let's go to ICU Haas.
Okay. I mean, to me, there's only really one clear answer here.
Stipich?
Yeah, it's Hayden Stipich.
That's what I gave it to.
He's got to get it, right? I mean,
get it.
You know, he's new, relatively new on the scene. A Northeast kid, I believe. I've heard his name around here for numerous things. So yeah, I feel like you got to give it to him.
Yeah, and he beat Belmo on his road, which is to get on your first show and then beat a guy who led qualifying or was top 2 or 3 in qualifying, who's throwing it great right now. Belmo's really throwing it great. I feel like this was a bad format for Belmo.
I mean, I would also, for ICU Haas, I guess, like, just to throw another option out there, Trey Brand, he made both PTQs and bowled pretty good the first 2 weeks. So, like, ICU Haas, I'm a little interested in who this Trey Brand character is. But yeah.
Yeah, he's been bowling good the last 2 weeks. You know how hard it is to get out of one PTQ? To go back to back is pretty cool. All right, let's start riding with some people.
Okay.
I'm gonna start. I'm not riding with Belmo. I just talked about this. bad week for Belmo to end up bowling a format of best 4 out of 7. I feel like if this was the format they were bowling on last week, I feel like that he would have been close to, if not the number 1 seed. But when you go to these best 4 to 7 match play tournaments, which by the way are better for viewing experiences and betting purposes, shouts to Bet Rivers, did a great job with the betting this week on the matches again. Belmo, yeah, I mean, lost to a kid who is made his first show, and here he is trying to get back to the top of the mountain and had a bowl of best 4 to 7 match play against a two-handed lefty, and the lefties had a great look this week. So he got a bad draw in a sense. And yeah, if he was bowling a total pin format with match play, I feel like he would have been a shoe-in for the show this week.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not riding with Simo.
Okay.
He missed the cash by 1 spot this week. He's not happy.
Nobody wants to ride with him.
You know that's going to be a long, quiet ride to the next stop.
Nobody wants to ride with him there.
Who wants to win the Pete Weber Open more than Simon? I mean, if there's any player out there who identifies in that lane of kind of killer type attitude out there, right? I'm in another zone when I'm out there. Yeah, I wouldn't be riding with Simo this week. Much love for Simo. It's my guy, but I know that's a long, quiet ride. I understand that. So that would be my pick.
All right, Mike. I want to ride this week. Originally, I was going to take the safe pick and ride with Graham Thaw because obviously he's had a great start to this year. Throwing a ball, absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm going to stay with that pick. And while he was getting interviewed at the end by Savannah, I felt like this guy is just very well spoken. He's very professional. He looks like would be like a golfer, like a professional golfer in a sense. Like he's got that real professional vibe to him. And everything about him is just he does everything the right way, it seems. So I like to ride with him because he's seeing the pocket very well right now. And I think out of all of the people, in my opinion, that this whole urethane rule that is going into effect for this week's U.S. Open, I think that affects him the most, to be honest with you, because he's riding a hot hand right now. He's throwing the ball great. And I feel like he probably would benefit the most of being able to use urethane because of how hot he is right now. And now you're taking one of his main tools out of his bag. But I would love to see him bowl great this week without the urethane. And we all know he's very good without the urethane too. He could throw resin probably better than most of the lefties out there. And I would love to see him make a match play or even make a show like throwing resin. I think it would be really cool. But yeah, so that's who I'm going to ride with, because I'd also like to talk to him about that too, that aspect or that topic of not being able to throw urethane this week, and see what he would say just between me and him. Not an interview, no cameras. I like to hear what somebody who's really hot right now would have to say about that being a lefty.
I'd ride with Anthony Nyer this week. He had a good week. I could give him milk carton. I feel like
he's getting another award for me, but it's neither of those.
Okay, but I would ride with Anthony Nyer because he had a good week. He cashed for 7,500 this week. Finished just outside the show. Pennsylvania boy, so we're going to get along over that, and we're probably going to stop in some good places to eat. My man's big boy, so we're going to stop for a couple good meals. And I just feel like it would be good vibes riding with he. I don't know. Does he still have the mullet? I don't think he still has the mullet. He can't see the hair on too well on Extra Frame, but he just strikes me as an interesting character. So I think we'd have a good ride. I think we'd have a good time.
Yeah, he seems like a cool kid. I gotta pull this. I gotta pull this comment up by Kevin.
I know. I saw
Kevin. So Kevin in the chat writes, "Quick exchange I saw at the tournament this week. Ryan Barnes tried to give a 14-ish-year-old kid a Bionic, which is like their brand new release, mid-block, and the kid turned him down. Said he only throws Brunswick. Youth Patch Pirates. Do you know what a 14-year-old, like when we were 14 or 15 years old, if a pro came over to us mid-block while we were watching and gave us any ball, what we would have, like,
a fist fight might have broke out over the ball itself.
God.
Like, unless the pro designated, like, here, this is for you, you know, like if he just came over and just was like, here, why don't you just take this? A fight may have broken out. A fight may have ensued. I remember when Carolier used to let like some of the kids from Carolier who were regulars there, league bowlers there, etc. They used to let them caddy and carry the player's stuff from pair to pair. I used to be so jealous, man, that we couldn't caddy, that we weren't plugged in there like that, you know. And the guys who own the pro shops where I got my stuff drilled, shout to 10th Frame Pro Shops in Philly. They're not around anymore, but shout to those guys. They used to go up to the Petraglia Open, and I don't think this is a thing anymore. But what would happen is PBA player would drill a ball, right? There's a fee for drilling a ball. If they didn't like the ball, they would give said ball back to the truck, and giving that ball back to the truck would cover their drilling fee. And then what the truck would do is they would sell those drilled but basically unused balls to local pro shops where they could turn around and sell them to their customers. And you know, that was like Christmas time to me, bro.
Bill in the chat says, "What? Take it and sell it." I mean, it's a fair point. You could probably get easily $100 for.
I would have. I mean, if I was the kid, I would have asked them to sign it.
Sign it.
Like, here, sign it. You know, that's cool.
It just shows you how many new balls these kids are getting these days. Like,
no, it shows you how bad the patch piracy is what it shows you. That's what it shows you. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who's in charge of that kid? Somebody set their kid straight.
So please. I got to pull this up. I don't want to get into this whole discussion right now, but Yellow Magic says the rule is in urethane. It's slow oil absorb. It's urethane. Okay. Name me a urethane ball that can get thrown next week. And then I don't want to get into too much technical terms. Anyway, the kid was probably paid by Chris to deny it. That's what Speed Ra says. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Lou is asking if Nair was a two-hander a while back. I don't think he was.
I don't know. It's a good question.
I don't think he was. Lou is also asking, did anyone use their thumb in the PBA Junior Championship competition? I don't think so, Lou.
I don't know. I didn't watch it. The
future's full of two-handed. But, Lou, for now, the one-handers are still running things. The best lefty and the best righty in the world right now are both one-handers who put their thumb in the ball. So keep that in mind. Go ahead, Rob. Where are we going?
All right. Let's go to who took the heat and who didn't take the heat.
Oh, well, there's only one answer for who gave the heat. Who gave the heat?
Who took the heat?
To me, there wasn't a lot of heat today. There wasn't a lot of people taking the heat today. There was a lot of people giving the heat today.
See, I'm giving my award to Thomas Larson for taking the heat against EJ Tackett in Game 7 last night.
Okay.
Playing right. It was a big balls play, playing right and beating EJ Tackett in 7 when EJ was playing his A game, playing left, and Thomas looked lost in Game 6, comes back, finds a new ball, phase 2 Pearl, I believe, moves right, and then completely runs EJ over when EJ kind of lost his reaction. It was a really great match to watch, the Game 7 match that he knocked EJ out to get into the show. So if you guys didn't get a chance to watch that, it's a good one.
Yeah, I regardless, I got to flip this award around. I got to say it goes to Graham Fa for giving everybody the heat.
No, man,
he won this tournament by just keeping the heat on high.
He just ran everybody over.
Full steam, you know.
It was a freight train. He was
people were crumbling under the heat of Graham Fa.
Yeah. I gave my who didn't take the heat award to actually Nair. because he bowled 120 in his match in the match to get to the show. I don't know. Bowling 120 is.
Yeah, that match, his match was out early. I will say that.
It was, and that match was getting to the show is what the ultimate goal is, especially if you're a young kid like that.
Yeah, it was got also a lot of friend versus friend, roommate versus roommate.
Yeah,
so yeah,
he's got a lot of potential. That kid, he's got a physical game. He's got some talent. Nair, I think, strong lefty can really, really, really get on it too. He's like old school lefty. In a way, reminds me a little bit of like a Jason Couch type.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, dumpster diving.
Oh, it's Kevin Williams. There's only one answer to this question.
Why you skip Gary Haynes?
Because I expect more from Kevin than I do.
Buttriff? I mean, he didn't even finish the tournament.
That's why he DNF'd, and we don't know the reason why he DNF'd.
Okay,
so that's the reason why I won't give.
I got you.
But I won't give it to Gary Haynes because Kevin has been out on tour for a while now. I have higher expectations for Kevin Williams than I do for Gary Haynes at this point.
I'm going to go Spencer Robarsh. Welcome to the PBA, bro. Last week you made the show. This week you're near the bottom when the lefties are feasting. So that's how it goes sometimes.
So do you think Spencer Robarch is going to be one of those lefties where the lefties don't have it is going to be like succeeding, and when they do have it, he's going to have a rough of it?
I don't know.
That's an interesting. Patrick Allen was like that,
right? No, there's always been those guys.
Yeah.
CB Princess is saying Butters had a leg injury. Okay, we wish him the best on that. Tarzan the Great asks, is Kevin Williams the new Ryan Simonelli or Ronnie Russell this year?
Oh my God.
That's brutal, bro.
I know it's brutal. Anyway, all right. The Sweep the Rack Mush Award. So I'm giving the Mush Award to friend of the show, Sean Rash, because Sean Rash didn't have a good week this week. And I just saw someone in the chat said that he even drilled the urethane ball and was trying it. Had a bad week. I feel like we mushed him at the beginning of the year, especially me when I talked about Sean being healthy and being top 15. Hopefully I like to see Sean get back there just because I feel like he's super entertaining when he makes the shows. And I think he brings a little bit of energy to this show that right now I think is kind of lacking.
So I feel like you feel like just by giving him your support, you have you put the
kibosh
cloud on him.
I did for sure
a little bit.
Oh, look who's in the chat. It's like, kind of like if you say his name, he shall appear. What's up, Sean? Come on, man.
Okay, I'm gonna say I only put in one bet this week, and that was on Friday in the match play block. And I was looking at some bets that I liked. Odds wise, I was trying to put together a little parlay, and I put together a parlay with Brandon Runk in it against Matt Russo. And that did not go well. So I feel like I put the mush on Brandon Runk by throwing him in my parlay, though. So I apologize, Brandon. My bad.
Yeah. Reverse mush award. Matt Russo, specifically because we talked about him last week and how low he finished. And we gave him a little bit of shit for bowling bad when three lefties made the show. And then he comes back having a terrible week last week. And then ended up making a show. Ooh, there's some heat in this comment, Mike. Sean Rash says,
I think you take that a lot of different ways. I hope it's not an injury. I hope you're feeling good, Hoss.
If you guys only knew what the hell I was dealing with out here. There's just so many different ways I could ask so many questions here. Yeah, hopefully it's not physically because I'm dealing with a back injury myself, and I couldn't imagine having a bowl, 18 games of qualifying with the backer I have right now. So I kind of have a little bit of an idea what Rash has been dealing with. What about reverse mush? You got a reverse mush who finished bad?
No, I would agree. I would agree. It's probably Matt Russo, right?
Okay.
I mean, That came to mind as soon as I watched him win his previous match where he was going to be a lock for the show. So
Yeah. All right. Last one's Milk Carton, right? Did we do Milk Carton?
no, we didn't do Milk Carton yet.
Yeah. It's funny because I think Milk Carton should go to Thomas Larson.
Okay, I'm gonna give Milk Carton to Santu.
Yeah, Santu.
Haven't seen
Yeah,
Santu in a minute.
yeah,
Name was up there this week. Had it pop up.
yeah. Zach Wilkins, was up there for a little bit. Was having some good squads. You saw, and big shouts to some names that I've never heard or seen before. Austin Grammer was one that I saw made it to the top 16. Just guys that you like to see some new names come in. TJ Rock made top 24, the Wichita kid, who's bowling really well until he started to struggle a little bit at the end. So
Kevin in the chat says Cam Crow for Milk Carton, but I can't co-sign that. Kev, he hasn't even been out there long enough.
Yeah, agreed.
I think you gotta go into hiding for a little bit. But okay, is that it, Rob? Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
Okay, let's move on. Some might say it's the best week in bowling. I would disagree. I think that's the World Series of bowling is the best week in bowling. Rob tends to feel like the U.S. Open is the best week in bowling. So, what are you looking forward to this week, Rob?
Definitely the first thing top of mind is the oil absorption ban, or as I call it, the urethane ban. And I kind of would like to see how certain players finish. Okay. You could probably think of 5 players off the top of your head that I'm going to be looking for what they're going to be doing in the standings, specifically because they can't throw urethane. I want to see how dumpster diving is always fun to see people that are struggling, I think, feeling the pain, misery, depression of bowling on the U.S. Open. I'd just like to see if this is going to be one of those EJ Tackett type tournaments that he just completely runs away with and is the number 1 seed. So those are a few things that I'm looking for.
Tarzan the Great says Graham Fa versus EJ Tackett for the U.S. Open title.
That's too easy of a guess. That never
Tarzan,
happens.
see if you could get a bet on that, bro. I mean, that sounds juicy to me, actually. I like that.
I mean, how many times does that really, though, like in bowling? There's always people that make the TV shows that you don't really kind of expect. But with the urethane ban going into place, like how much is that going to affect Graham too?
Rips and Revs saying Storm has a winner in the concept. Tour guys are going to have 8 of them.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think that's an unfair comment. Yeah, okay. I think that bowl looks really good. I watched them bowl a lot on the Viper lane at the Players, and all the Storm guys were throwing that concept. So,
okay,
I wonder how many Yesler is going to drill. I know he's been on record saying he doesn't like it, but I don't know what else he can throw other than that. Can he throw a level?
No, I don't think so.
No, so I'd be interested to see if that's the ball of his choice and how he finishes, honestly.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, I'm not a U.S. Open hater. I love the U.S. Open, but and I definitely love the format. I'll be looking forward to that Friday night match play block. Traditional round robin match play. Love that last match play block, and I'm hoping to get a chance to watch a little bit and maybe have a good enough read to throw some bets in at some point during match play. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the action this week for sure.
Yeah. So let me go through the schedule real quick so people have an idea of what to expect. It looks like I didn't even realize this, but it looks like the PTQ already happened this morning.
It did. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even get a chance to see that. Tomorrow is just practice session, so no bowling tomorrow. Qualifying round starts Tuesdays. There's 3 squads. There's an A, B, C squad, all on fresh. 8 games, qualifying 2. Wednesday, March 4th, another 8 games, pattern 2, and then Thursday, qualifying round 3, all on fresh, 8 games, pattern 3. The field's cut to the top 36. And then there's going to be another 8 games on a different pattern, so pattern 4. And then at 10 a.m., they bowl. And then it goes to the top 24 at 5 p.m. on Friday evening, where then they will bowl 8 games, 5 p.m. Friday night, 8 games, head-to-head match play Saturday morning, 10 a.m., and then 8 games Saturday, 5 p.m. So interesting.
Saturday night, okay.
Yeah, so interesting Saturday night. If you guys are not doing anything or you guys not going out, whatever. I know Mike's not going out these days. With my back and his leg, I think Saturday night's probably safe to say we're probably going to be watching some Bowl TV stream. I think the last round Saturday night, it's 5 p.m. I would imagine that's local time Indianapolis, so they're on Central in Indy. So that would be 5. It'll be a great 8 games to watch, the last 8, and hopefully there's some really close matches. And yeah, that's the schedule. And then we're back on the CW next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Absolutely.
And they're bowling on the pattern 4 on all match play games and the television. So
okay.
All right, Mike.
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Do you want to save bowling or you want to skip?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. I'm sorry. I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah.
Wasn't even thinking of that.
Yep. So this is kind of a far out idea that I had. And I don't know how this could happen. And I don't know what bowling would need to do, but competitive bowling needs to find a way to make competitive bowling just as, or if more profitable to the bowling centers than recreation bowling. Okay, now how do you do that? That is a very good question, but I feel like if the bowling centers run leagues already, then there's some profitability with the leagues. But how do you make a bowling center? Oh, Indy is Eastern time. Okay, sorry. It's a weird fine line over there with the time zones. But yeah, I know this is kind of a far out idea, and I probably will get shit, especially if I put this out on a reel, which I probably won't. I only wait for Mike's crazy ideas to put on reels. But for the bowling centers to actually find a way to make as much money running a bowling tournament as they would for a recreation Saturday like time. I feel like if that was a possibility, then maybe more bowling centers would be prone to running more bowling tournaments, creating more competitive opportunities for bowlers. Because I think right now, with the profitability being on the recreation side, on the bowling centers, that obviously then what are the bowling centers going to focus more on? They're going to focus more on the recreation side of the game. Why run a tournament on a Saturday afternoon and take up half the house when we will make double the amount of money running like open bowling or glow bowling? But if competitive bowling brought in just as much money to the bowling center as recreation, then the bowling centers might tend to run more tournaments and run more leagues. Just an idea, but how to do that, I would have to sit and think, to be honest with you.
I mean, would you in that idea? Would you consider like food and beverage as part of that too?
I mean, getting people in the bowling center is really the important part, I think, for bowling centers, regardless of how you do it. And I think when like leagues are depending that bowlers are going to be buying like beer and buying food to make revenue, obviously. but I think recreation bowlers spend more on that side as well than league bowlers.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I think like the regulars, right? The league bowlers are the people who are way more, um,
Stingy.
yeah, way more likely to like bring in the McDonald's, bring in the cheaper food,
Correct.
bring in their own drink. I'm not gonna lie, I know a couple guys who keep a bottle stashed in a pro shop here and there,
Yeah.
and like to go in and do a shot in the shop as opposed to pay for it at the bar. Um,
Which is understandable why bowling centers have that rule where you can't bring outside food and beverage. Like, except for water, which is like ridiculous for them banning for people to bring in water. I think is an understandable rule for a bowling center to like implement. Um, I don't know how I would do that because like I'm just thinking about it my own like experience. Like when I bowl league every week, I don't go and I don't drink and I don't spend money when the waitress or the waiter comes over and asks me if I'm eating or drinking anything. One, because while I'm bowling league, I don't want to eat. Right? I don't want to eat a hamburger and fries in the middle of my game of bowling league, but a recreation bowler doesn't care. They'll eat pizzas and burgers and all kinds of stuff while they're bowling, right? Because they're not bowling for really score. So I feel like that's a lot of the reasons why so yeah, it's a crazy idea, and I know, but I'm just trying to think like some kind of outside the box way for a bowling center to generate just as much revenue for a league and a competitive bowling.
Yeah, it's tough. Like even with the high schools, when I used to coach, I remember that used to be like a big point of contention with the bowling center because the high school parents like they want to bring in cookies and cupcakes and brownies for like every match, every occasion, pretzels and candy and like the bowling alley is sort of banking on. All right, well, not only are we going to we're giving you a discount on the lineage to come in regularly, and we're hoping to make some of that up in the sales of food and beverage. So I get that. I get that for sure.
Real quick though,
and I asked that because my idea to improve bowling this week is sort of related to the food and beverage piece of bowling.
So, real quick though, before you get into yours, I think the bowling center itself has to really, really bring in some kind of mom pop shop like chef or cook.
It's so fun. That's what my idea is.
Oh, really? Because
that's my idea is generally this.
Okay.
Bowling alleys have bowling centers and especially privately owned centers. Okay. I mean, Bolero to me is almost like a lost cause on this at this point. Right? The Bolero is not going to adapt to this, adjust to this, etc. Right. But mom and pop centers really need to think about creating other reasons to bring people into their bowling center other than bowling. Right? Can your bowling center have a great bar? Can your bowling center have a great snack bar? I mean, Rob, we've talked about this before on this show.
Lots of times.
There's some snack bars out there that used to be like, I mean, really good food. The one at Carolier comes to mind. The restaurant that they had at Carolier for a long time before took it over.
Maple Lanes in Brooklyn. If anybody knows Maple Lanes had a great. I'm not even calling the snack bar. It damn near was like a diner in the middle of that bowling center. And if I knew that there was a great like chicken parm sandwich at this diner, which they did, had an amazing chicken parm, I would find my way to the bowling center either early or after I was there staying after league to eat that chicken parm and those french fries. Because when you were there and your whole senses were just like chicken parm, and all you could think about is that little voice in your head. And you're like, man, I got to get one. And that's how I would spend money. And of course, that brings in, but now you go to these Boleros and it's just like, and I'm using them as an example because that's all I'm really dealing with at this point, is you're getting with Bolero. You're getting your stereotypical fast food type
mass produced
experience.
Yeah. Rips on Revs talks about a pizza shop in a bowling alley. What bowling alley, Rips and Revs? Because Laurel Lanes in South
Mm.
Jersey had a pizza shop in it, and the pizza was banging.
It was so good.
The pizza was bad. I used to go to Laurel Lane's. It was one of, I mean, it was like, hey, you go to Laurel Lane's to get a pizza. You know, you get a couple slices and bowl.
The college tournament was there. Remember the college tournament was there?
Yeah, yeah. So,
and that was so good.
So yeah, like that's part of my thinking there, right? Like,
yeah,
Roosevelt Lanes in Jersey City, man, where I bowled in college and practice. I mean, the snack bar there was owned by a little old Spanish lady. Man, she used to whip up some deliciousness in there, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was these are the types of things that I remember that I don't think bowling alleys really have anymore. And I'll be honest, if I owned a mom and pop bowling center, if I was a privately owned bowling center, one of my first moves would be to try to create that really good restaurant / bar experience in my center to try and drive people there. And the reason that I say that now is because, like, there's got to be like bar / restaurant people out there who would want to open their own place but don't have the capital to open their own independent place, right? So you bring somebody like that into your bowling center and let them take a small space in your center and do their thing and make it theirs. And yeah, I think that there can be something really successful there. Like, you could be giving people a reason to come to the bowling center other than the bowling, right? And the bowling becomes secondary. It's like, no, well, that's the place where they have the great bar and restaurant. And oh yeah, there's bowling too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it brings in people. Some people will just go eat there and then leave. But guess what? You make it so that people have to walk through the bowling alley to get there, right? And then maybe on their way out, they're like, "Oh, let me bowl a game or two," right? It's just another way to bring people in. And even if you have a separate entrance, you make it easy accessible for windows in the diner so people could watch the bowling. And then they're eating and they're like, "Oh, let's just stay after and maybe bowl a couple games."
Matt Anderson wants to know if he missed the dumpster diving skit. Yeah, yes, you did, Matt. But you avoided the dumpster diving gold medal. It was given. You know, we gave it to the lefties. If you want to know which way we went, right?
If it's the same Matt Anderson, a big wheel. That Andrew's brother, big shouts to Matt Anderson, almost winning the tat.
No doubt.
January. I watched that final match. He left a stone 9. Was vicious to lose.
I saw that, yeah.
All right.
A couple people mentioning, that there's different bowling centers out there with different restaurants and attractions in it. And yeah, that's great. I think that's a way that bowling can really improve. I think that, going that route can bring back the privately owned bowling centers, to a higher level. And yeah, if I was in that business, it's definitely the direction that I'd be looking to go.
That would be such a good idea for Bolero to get rid of their corporate, just the way they do corporate, and everything about them is just everything's corporate and all the bowling centers are the same. How cool would it be that they got rid of their snack bars and they just, like you said, they rented the space to a mom pop shop restaurant? It just makes me think about all of our experiences, as well as you watch the show Diners, Drives, and Dives with Guy Fieri, and he goes to these little places. And I mean, how cool would it be to be able to bowl in a local league where you go in once a week, and you might have a guy who is an old chef who wants to run his own restaurant in your bowling center. Talk about make it an excuse to go bowl, right? It's Bolero, if they want to get rid of their cliche stereotype of them being corporate America, what better way than to just bring in some outside help for their bowling snack bar? Right.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right,
Rob, let's do it. Let's wrap it up.
Let's do it. Let's get the worst of the week.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, mine's an easy one. This is going to Louis Jansen. Louis Jansen, who made a comment on a bowlersmart.com post. By the way, Swag Bowling we never really talk about swag bowling. They're kind of one of those bowling companies, small, trying to make it, right, just getting into it, make some decent stuff. I see Rash, if he's still in the chat, throw some swag. I see their stuff's starting to get a little bit better. They actually make a really, really cool plastic bowling ball, by the way. I don't know if anybody's seen the Dragon plastic ball, but it's like, Mike, have you seen their plastic ball yet?
No.
It's like, it reminds me of like those like stained glass windows where you'd see at a church that are colors, and the whole ball is like red and green, and like it's like two dragons, and they're like kind of like dancing in a way, but it's all like stained glass. It's a really, really cool plastic ball. I really would like to drill one just because it's super cool. But his response, and sometimes I think just people just respond just to like respond to shit. His response was, if you need a plastic ball to spare, you have bigger issues. Just saying. Bro, do you even like bowl outside of like where you live? Like, have you ever bowled? Like, that just comment is, and I responded to it, Mike, and I don't ever respond to a lot of stuff. I responded on it, and I think I wrote something like, this might be the dumbest thing I've ever read in like the 2 weeks of my history. This might be the dumbest thing I've ever read on the internet, and that says a lot. And yeah, so that's my worst of the week. But man, I don't ever really throw shout outs to bowling balls. And if you want a really cool plastic ball, check out that Swag Dragon, man. That thing is sick.
All right, my worst of the week, I guess, goes to Bolero and the PBA this week.
Oh God!
Somebody reached out to me this week and let me know that at the competition last week, they were charging members to get in.
Wait, what? Wait,
they were the PBA and Bolero were charging PBA members to get in to watch competition. Now, I heard, I had the person hit me back up and say, well, that happened, but apparently it was like one employee who was stationed at that spot who didn't know that they were supposed to let certain people in for free. But still, worst of the week to Bolero. Worst of the week to Bolero for, not making it clear, what's going on and making sure that people are clear on what the admission policies are, etc. But certainly, PBA members, especially I would say PBA titleists, should be getting entrance to a PBA event for free. At this point, I don't know if anybody should be paying to get into a PBA event unless maybe it's a televised final. But
Mike, that reminds me of? There was a like candid camera or where they do these like pranks on these big celebrities, and I think they did it in a WWE event where the one guy, I believe it was CM Punk, I could be wrong, where he was the main event of that like night of that pay-per-view. And he was walking in, and security wouldn't let him in. And he was just like, but I'm a main event. He's like, I don't know who you are. Like, you can't get in. Where's your pass? And it went on for like 15 minutes. And of course, it was all like a big prank. That's what that reminds me of. Like, they're like pranking. Imagine if it was like Pete Weber and the guy didn't let him in. And he's just like, I'm Pete Weber. He's like, I don't know who you are. You can't get in. Like, I think like that's what that reminds me of. That would have been hilarious stuff. They would have pulled something like that. I'm the Pete Weber Classic. And they don't, like, I don't know who you are. Like, you have ID. Like, I don't know. I think that's hilarious. Okay. You ready to wrap this up?
Let's do it.
I got to read this comment. Skid Hook Roll writes, hard to believe Bolero would have a poorly trained employee.
I know. It's why. It's partly why I gave it the worst of the week. I'm like,
the Sun, they charge for toilet paper too.
If you don't understand, you don't get the show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Okay, final thoughts, Rob?
No, man, I'm sad that we're not going to get a big Mike League review for a while. So we're gonna have to make up some segment to to talk about for the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think our final thought this week should be with our boy.
Yeah, man. Bill's not bowling next week. This week
Yeah,
at the U.S. Open. In case anybody.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, you know what I
US
texted him?
Open, but
Yeah, I was like, Bill, like, then what the hell am I going to do with my Bowl TV subscription?
yeah, no doubt. But yeah, I just want to wish him well. You know, I know he doesn't listen to this very much, but you know, if you do give him a shout, you know, let him know that we were thinking about him, and you know, on the pod, wishing him well. You know, it's disappointing, but you know, it is what it is. So
I want to bring this up. Robert Hamilton, real quick, says my final thought is on the 43rd 900 this past week. Look, I know Mike is probably going to disagree with me though. Regardless of how lame this kid took a lot of crap on the internet for bowling a 900, and I don't believe in that. Like the kid 900 is a 900. That's a hard score to bowl, regardless of how easy the lanes are. Being a 43rd and how many games get thrown every week and every year for only 43rd happened to whoever this kid is. I forgot his name, but big shouts to you, man. Congrats, dude. 900 is a big score. And you know, he took I think he took a lot of shit from people on the internet because he didn't look a certain way or whatever. Like people just need to like grow up and appreciate when a great series is thrown in the 900. In my opinion, regardless of how high the scores are and how easy the lanes are, is a really, really good score.
no doubt, just carrying that many times in a row is
crazy. The odds, the statistics are probably low to carry. Even when their lanes are that easy, it's still hard to carry 36 shots in a row.
No doubt. All right, Rob, we're going to wrap it up. That's it for this week. We hope the people enjoy. We thank everybody for joining us. We got the U.S. Open coming up this week, so stay tuned. We'll be back next Sunday to wrap things up, I would imagine.
Yep.
Hit us up on social media. We do most of our chatting on X, where I am the 215th and he is Brooklyn Rob 11. We're Sweep the Rack almost everywhere on social media, everywhere else. If you want some merch, go to InsideBowling.com. Content creators, Sweep the Rack. Use the code PatchBuyer 15%.
Yo, everybody, right now, if you're watching, like it.
Like and subscribe.
Just like
Makes
it.
Rob
Takes
very
2
happy.
seconds.
All
Just takes 2 seconds. That's all I ask. I don't
like and subscribe. So, yeah, that's it. Listen, we're good. It was a good rundown, good episode. Looking forward to the U.S. Open this week, and we'll see everybody next Sunday.
See you guys. Peace.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring